I am so delighted to be here. I've been looking forward to it all day and also for the past several weeks. So I've really been so excited to come back to my hometown of Ventura and especially to read in a library. When I grew up reading and really loving the libraries in Ventura. In fact, I was just thinking today how the smell of the jasmine flowers outside the Wright Library when I was growing up, how when I would walk out of that library with a big stack of books and the smell of the library books and the jasmine flowers just has a very, very evocative and powerful memory in my mind. So thank you so much for being here and to share your poems and to listen to some of mine. And I brought 3 poems to read. The first is a short one, and then there's a middle-y one, and then there's a longer one, which I may wind up reading sort of just an excerpt from, depending on time. So the first poem is called Kingdom Up, and it's from what's going to be my first poetry collection, which is coming out this summer from Yes Yes Books, so I'm really excited about that. Thank you. I'm so excited. My poems found a home, and this is the last poem in the collection, and it's set in Long Beach at my sister's house in the new year, just before the change in administration, and so it's called Kingdom Up. Sunday morning, January clipped, rain falling through a citrus tree across the street. There is a wall coming, my country tells me. I can see it from my sister's bed, where I sleep in yesterday's lavender sweater and borrowed socks. Not all clouds fit over the ocean. Rain finds the lemon tree, but rarely in California. Still, a tree knows what to do, this act of holding still. I remember that drinking myself, the at first not wanting to be wet, and then the wetness. Not holding still exactly, just holding still enough. Okay, so this next poem is it's set in the forests of Valbonne, outside of Nice in France. I was staying there this winter with a friend. I wrote the poem in London. It's called Poem for the New Year in London. I was flying home when I wrote it. But the poem came about because I had shared with my friend that I get really uncomfortable around cameras. With author photos or professional photos, I get really stiff and really artificial. And because my friend is an avid photographer, he said, I think that if you tell a story while I take your picture, I'm almost sure you won't be able to hide your face at the same time. And so that's sort of how this poem began. Poem for the New Year in London. My sister had a pet parakeet when she lived alone. She found him dead outside, still in his cage, mauled by a cat, the head buried in birdseed. He tried to hide, she said. I already tried to write this poem, did write this poem. And when my friend swerved the car en route to medieval Griollère, chateau ruins, bell tower, a burst of sheep, we saw a hawk trapped beneath the metal nets, skewered to the crumbling Alps. Somehow the bird had flown in and was tented. Death, it's near. I see it in the embroidered roses of a little girl's coat at the airport. My friend lifted a camera to take my photo, doors flung to the January morning and olive trees, and said, "Tell me a story so that I can see your face." I could have talked about potatoes, the structure of creme fraiche. I could have recited 4 lines I love from Edna St. Vincent Millay. I might have retold your own story, something about building a makeshift darkroom on Catalina Island during summer camp, how the photos were not perfect, but they were donned in the bright slap of the Pacific and the hawk cliffs, the gull-whited stones. Instead, I told the dream I had the night before, January cold on my neck, the shuddering lens. I could not look at the camera, and so I looked at the paint on the wall behind you, how it reminded me of a woman's skin just after a bath. And as you clicked and clicked and clicked, I said, in this dream, my friend had a frightful needle pass through her palm. She had a look of horror, and I felt horror. I woke up twisted in last night's party dress. My hair smelled like champagne and oysters. My relief that the needle wasn't real felt heavy and remotely sweet, like a new pear, and I bit into the remoteness and wore it like a necktie. You kept taking my photograph, the woman-colored wall behind you, and you said, "That's the worst story. Tell me about Albania instead. What do you know about Albania? Would you sail to Croatia? The area below a hoop is called the paint. Have you ever held a basketball? Here in our forest, where the rivers are named for wolves, I drink cup after cup of coffee, watching ornaments dangle from the olive trees. We stand at the fish counter. We select more oranges. I choose a chocolate eclair and buy soap. Later, I fry potatoes while you coat the fish with honey. It's a particular thing, the needle, my friend's hand. Although her hand took the instrument, it was my hand that felt its ghost for days. I still feel it. My sister sends a photograph of a hawk in my mother's maple tree, watching 2 guinea pigs in their cage. A strand of Christmas lights winding up the trunk unplugged, and the bird looks taut, energetic. You can see just one dark eye. We planted the tree when I was very young. I always thought it was a nice thing to do, planting a tree when someone has died. I can't bear it, this knowing. Thank you. Thank you. And so this long poem excerpt is something I wrote very recently and all at once. So I've never written a poem this long. I think there's lots of white space on the page, but it's like 26 pages, right? And I wrote it in this very long setting in the middle of the night. And when I wrote it, I felt my grandmother's presence very close to me. My dad's mom died when I was 12, and the poem it's not really about her, but somehow I wound up writing the poem with her recipes right next to me. So I have this stack of family recipes, and a lot of people in my family have this, where they're Xeroxes of Xeroxes of Xeroxes of family recipes, and some of them are handwritten, and some of them are pretty much look like they were photocopied off the back of a bag of flour or something like that. And so I was reading her recipes and these old recipes from these women in my family that I've never met, great aunts and Italian family in Ohio, rural Ohio. And I had started to become fascinated with the word umbel, as in the family, the flower family, or umbel. And geranium belongs to that family, and so geraniums kind of come up along with food, and a family I started writing about in this poem. So the family that I write about in this poem is a man, Ace, and his wife, Pia, and their 3 daughters, and how they're trying to survive each other, and how food and flowers are particular to that. So, umbels. You are a number of short flower stalks spread from a common point, somewhat like umbrella ribs. Open shut them, give them a little clap. Use as much space as possible. 2 carrots chopped, half green pepper chopped, ground round, snap aparts, use a sharp knife, 2 frying chickens. A common point, a sunshade. Oh, they're beautiful shapes. Ace believed in boats. Ace believed that a boat, well fed, could heave through the deep blue chop and water lilies. Here's Ace with a seaworthy vessel and 10 kilos of the rarest, most impeccable cabbages. Each blooming head believes in Ace the way Ace believes in boats. Ace left the good earth behind with a promise to return filled with silver fishes, delightful fishes, the most delicious fishes. Ace is a white man with white hands and the stark, white heart of a coward. Not everything about Ace is seaworthy. Not everything about Ace is trustworthy. Ace believes in engines. Ace believes in a cold, hard hook. You know about Ace. You've got to know about Ace. The terrible ocean ate him. Ask your partner if he feels straight. Perhaps you want some dinner. 1 13 1/4 ounce single-strength beef brother, half cup dry macaroni, 1 tablespoon parsley flakes. Umbelliferae, a family, mostly aromatic and flowering. Ace has a wife, Pia. Pia has 3 daughters. 1, 2, 3. They grow umbels, angelica, anise, caraway, carrot, chervil, dill, fennel, hemlock, lovage, parsley, sea holly. Each garden is nearly opposite. When Ace is hungry, he digs up Christ and feeds. Christ lives in the backyard with a pale and lonely God. God is not a salted macaroon, not a bendy octopus. God may taste like coconut meat, but Ace is not amused. Pia soaks her hands in peanut oil between cold baths. From the bottom of the godforsaken boat, the white Christ unpacks his raw lunch of 3 eggs, a very technical Cool Whip, and 1 can tinned peaches. The flowers are usually perfect. It was a lovely day at sea. The kelp beds were weaving like mad. You could even see the fish. Stop what you are doing. Call me. I'm serious. The rain is loud tonight, and I am alone. I'm eating grapefruit. I'm drunk on chamomile. Let us save us from each other. I have onion pie, sweet Vidalia onion pie. You will recognize me by the scent of my grandmother's illustrious handwriting. I have the recipe for pie crust. It belongs to a dead woman. She is buried in Kansas beneath a blackberry bush. The tea cools. Ace lets loose a creamed gravy. The hall comes in. It stinks of fish. Pia forgets the names of her daughters sometimes. Who signed up for so many daughters? Not Pia. Pia shuts herself in the cupboard with the dry skins of tangerines and glass rosaries. Imagine that Pia grows larger. Constant is the weight of that bum knee. Beneath a batiste dress, Pia wraps herself in a pine box. Between each toe, a mouth grows. Pia hates her daughters. She roams the interior, pets her cervix like a sweet bug. Her insides taste like butter, like walnut oil, homemade mayonnaise. She licks the fur of animals. In the dark, she studies death. Ace has no insides. He tastes of white vinegar. He tastes of boxes. Pia can smell her daughters on him. All life has a rhythm. Wonderful. You make up some more. Call me. I'm sitting beneath a crooked chandelier. My hair is wet. My toenails are long and ragged. There's a black swallowtail butterfly beating at the back door with its effervescent wings. I stupefy the fish. My bed is hot from last night's sheets. I've hidden within them silver tokens from the church. Each token contains my grandmother's name. There is a black swallowtail butterfly beating at the back door with its effervescent wings. Wonderful. I have filled a welcome basket with pineapples, the mason jars with capers, the sink with stones. There is a dead white fish wrapped in paper on the second shelf. I will cook it for you when the rain finally ends. With butter, with lemon, with capers, with salt. I will cook it in an iron pan. I will cook it with my fingers, with my pink and rosy fingers. I will feed you with my fingers, with my seared and burning fingers. We will stand in the rain. Our bellies will be filled with white fish. This is fish my mother caught. She baited it with strings, with buttercups. We will stand in the rain with our horrible white bellies, our bellies filled with a dead white fish. Ace says, "Oh," to his daughters. He counts 2, 3. His hands are filled with egg whites. You know. The daughters think of other things: greens, honey, olives, peas and quiche, the scent of radishes, the vast color of turnip. They hang themselves with invisible ropes. One prays to wax flowers. It doesn't matter what kind. She opens her head, counts the dandelions. Her body is tiny to small. 2 spreads from a common center, umbrella like umbrella, parasol, sunshade, milk hurts her stomach. 3 is the youngest flower. She hurts the most. Daughter 3, pray to the geraniums. Daughter 3 is cleft, her veins prominent. She blooms first. Her hair smells like a new onion. It would hurt you if you smelled it. It was that tender, that vaguely sweet. Easter meat pie is Ace's favorite. Pia is not the least bit tired. The sky is junky with stars. Mechanically, she eats angel biscuits. The recipe is rough. Something something with something or other, warm water and buttermilk, 400 degrees. Pia touches her breasts. People die every year thinking they have discovered some kind of wild carrot. This is Ace. That he understands the way currents bend toward the islands and can smell the large gray fish before they surface in the quivering kelp is of no use to anyone but Ace. That Ace remembers playing musical chairs at a children's party once, keeping his hand close to the mahogany saddle of each balloon-festooned chair, watching as his mother hovered a pale hand over the elegant arm of the record player, is useless data. That Ace moved his face into the semi-ripe, geranium-faced body of his high school sweetheart and felt the salty stick of the seam surround him like a lapping wavelet. It's a ghost mouth, a mouse mouth, no worse than a fern leaf, a biscuit root. Ace is not gentle. Here alone, I dream of a milk-colored bicycle, the seat crushing the spent bloom, deadheading. The milk-colored bicycle is a tonic. From here, adrift in wheeling milk-colored bicycles, I can see where the sea would be. The ocean is allergic to knives. The ocean laps. A geranium leaf, crushed, stops bleeding. After, we eat 2-minute Hawaiian pie. Butter-flavored pie crust ready-made. Instant vanilla pudding. 1 can, 20 ounces crushed pineapple undrained. 8 ounces sour cream. Half cup flaked coconut. I make love to bicycles. I do. I make love to bicycles. Pia is wonderful. Pia tilts. Pia bursting. She has conversations with her whole body. She opens a blue cabinet filled with cracked blue plates. She makes a soup of steamed blue fish. For every blue, no daughter. Just the blue when we cannot touch anyone else. She prays to grandmothers. She offers roses to the mother in a blue veil. No, not roses, geraniums. She drinks geranium tea. Distress takes its blue time. She seals herself into envelopes of the palest, finest blue. At night, she imagines her hair is blue. When she grows hungry, in her sleep, she curls her hair into her hands and eats it. Come morning, her mouth is blue. Thank you. Thank you again so much for having me. Thank you.